welcome to our second session about raising a child in America. And as you know, the school district, we have over 2,000 students who are considered ELL or English language learners. We have over 60 languages and dialects spoken. So given that, we have 3 representatives as our guests today to share with you their own stories from back home and how they managed to raise a child in America. And we are so honored to have, look at your program, you all had handouts. The first one I'm going to introduce is Mr. Adil Abdul Hassan. He was born in Kuwait. Those are the corrections. He was not born in Iraq, but we all know him as coming from Iraq. He's married with 8 children. I have had the honor to work with almost all of them, and I've known Adil for a long, long time. And he arrived in America in September 22nd, 2008. He's been a great support for the Sioux Falls School District, and I consider him a friend and a mentor and a trainer because he teaches me a lot about Iraq and Kuwait. So welcome, Adil.
Thank you.
Our next presenter is Miss Betty Herrera. Betty is from Bogota, Colombia. And one thing she's so impressed about is the way I spelled Colombia. I didn't spell it with an U because a lot of people say Colombia, and that's not the correct way. And Betty is gracing us with her presence, and her beautiful daughter is in the back. And her parents, Nelson, they're here visiting from Colombia, and Anna from Colombia. So, Betty works as a pharmacist for Cigna Tech, as you all know. So welcome, Betty.
Thank you.
Our last guest speaker is from South Sudan, Mr. Saeed. Saeed was born in Khartoum, Sudan, and yes, is North Sudan, not South Sudan. Khartoum is the capital city of the second, or I shouldn't say second, it's part of the North Sudan. He moved to America July 17, 2000. That date is very special because my youngest daughter was also born in July 17. And he's married with 4 children, 1 daughter, and 3 sons. And all his kids went to the wonderful Washington High School. They're all warriors. How does that make you feel?
That makes me feel very good.
Wonderful. And Mr. Saeed currently works at Wells Fargo as a professional accountant. And before moving to Wells Fargo, he worked at LSS as an accountant. He was the first refugee that I know worked in that capacity at LSS Refugee Center. So welcome, Saeed. So without further ado, I'm gonna have our guest speakers tell you a little bit about themselves and how they managed to raise their kid in America. We're gonna start with Miss Betty Herrera. Welcome, Betty.
Thank you. Well, my experience as raising my kid, it hasn't been very difficult because, thank God, she's a very good student, so that helped me a lot. But the most important thing is that she has a very good base on reading. And that's how, since she was in kindergarten, we came from Miami, from Florida. She was in the Nova, thank you, in the Nova University kindergarten program. So they have the kids specialized in reading. And as most of the parents in there are Spanish language speakers, they make us go and learn with the kids how to teach them to read. It is very important to read and teach your kids how to read. And so that was the good base, and ever since we came to Sioux Falls, and she's just doing very good. And it's been, the only thing it's been difficult for me is because I can't help her much. Because in trying to help her when she was like in 5th grade or 6th grade with their spelling, she told me, "Mom, don't help me, please." I know you're trying, but you're confusing me, because she would tell me the right spelling, and I would tell her, "No, it's not like that." And she says, "Yes, Mommy, it's like that." So we got confused, and she said, "Mom, no, don't teach me. I'll do it on my own." But my experience has been good, and I'm very grateful that I'm here in the Sioux Falls School District, because since we came from Florida, and over there was good too, when we moved to Vegas before we came here, the school system in there, the experience wasn't very good. And the kid, instead of her being learning, she was teaching the other kids how to read. And that was keeping her behind. So I'm just very grateful she came. We moved here, and she started going. She went to Challenge Center, and then now she's in Edison, doing very good. Yeah, and that's it.
And we will have time to ask questions after all the presenters have given their own perspective. So,
Okay.
Adil.
Yeah, thank you. As in the papers in front of you, my name is Adil Abdel Hassan. Probably it's very difficult for some of you to pronounce or say my last name, not the first one. I was born in Kuwait, actually, and that I just celebrate my 24th birthday for the second time last year. Actually, if you're wondering what's the confusion between Iraq and Kuwait now in the paper, I was born in Kuwait. Kuwait system would not allow you to have their citizenship unless you were born for Kuwaiti parents. So I was born to Iraqi parents. Then they were refused to give me their citizenship. In 1990, when Saddam decided to invade Kuwait and went there, and after he just like was kicked out of Kuwait, we were in kind of limbo, because Kuwait did not trust us because we were Iraqis. So they decided to deport us. And of course, Iraq did not trust us because we were born in Kuwait. They thought that we are loyal to Kuwait. In 1989, I had my first child, and 1990, I had my second. 1992, I had my third, and I thought, that's enough, but it just like go back and sequence. Now we have 2 years of break, and we have a child. I'm just like make it short. In 2003, my wife passed away, so she left me with 6 kids. That's probably the different thing from other parents, because for a couple years I was the dad and mom for 6 kids, and they were very close. So we had a kind of relationship that is not a totally friendship, not totally parenthood. So we were just like in between there. When we first got here, after I fled from Iraq, went to Syria for 1.5 years almost, and then we came here to the United States, to Sioux Falls. I was really scared, because during just like our staying in Iraq or Syria, I had difficulty getting my kids to school because of different system, different culture, different everything. So after we got here to the United States, I thought that I will face the same problem, because my kids run out of school, they skip classes, they don't attend full school days, because if they go to school and they are not prepared, their homework, the teacher will beat them up, he's gonna just like wave them with a stick. He's gonna, slam them on face, kick them, so they hate school. Then when we get here, they said, we're not gonna go to school. And I talked to them and I told them it's not an option. You have to go to school. So the two oldest children, Asil and Muhammad, Asil was 18 and Muhammad was 17. They refused totally to go to school. Till we had a visit from Chelsea Pramack, and Denise Logan, and they talked to them, and all of a sudden they decided to go to school. And then we met Clara there. I had 2 kids at Axtell Bark, 3 at Washington, 1 at Jane Addams, and 1 at Annie Sullivan. So if you were wondering who's occupying the school district, it was my kids. So they were everywhere there. So it's very difficult for me because, as I said, it's different culture, different language, different community, and they have to adapt, all the new stuff and, process it and just like keep the values of our cultures, our religion, and then we have to just like merge into the American community. It wasn't easy, but the oldest managed, and the youngest actually, managed that successfully. So they some of them get their high school diploma, 2 of them going to college right now. The one that was in between, that she was in a transition from being a child to a teenager, actually this is the main issue I had, because she did not adopt it, the Iraqi culture totally, and she cannot merge into the American culture. So she's still in limbo there, and just like in the middle, trying to come to her roots, trying to be on the side of the American culture. But I found that the successful thing is just like to keep good communication between you and school. So when we first get into to the United States, to Sioux Falls specific, we established good communication with Clara, with Jennifer Olson, with Chelsea Pramack, just like, and we start email each other whenever there's an issue. I have this issue today with my son, she's gonna respond to me, she's gonna talk to them, and till I'm watching them just like growing up successfully. I think this is the way I will translate or interpret my experience with the school district and how to raise my children in America. I'm sorry, Saeed, I took all your time.
No.
Okay. Okay. So actually, it's just like the successful key there is just like to keep a good communication with school. And I think when the kids understood the importance of education, that it's different method, and the school district here or in general in the United States is using different methodology there, they become more accepting, the things that they learn. They even sometimes they debate. Of course, I prohibited everybody or anybody from speaking English at home, because I want them to keep their, mother tongue there, just like to speak Arabic. Of course, some of them cannot write in Arabic, but they still can speak Arabic. And that way, it's another way to communicate with the community, to communicate with our, relatives, cousins in Iraq, just like some tribe members there. So it's very important to keep their mother tongue there. Of course, when they learn more English, they start laughing at me each time I'm talking to them, because they think, hey, Dad is speaking with an accent. So, I'm still trying my best to hide my accent, but, they remind me every day with my accent, so I don't mind that. Okay. Saeed.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, thank you, and good evening, everybody here. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers of this gathering for inviting me to share my story and my experience of raising my kids in the United States. My name is Saeed, as she said, Saeed, and I'm from Sudan. I work with Wells Fargo. And I came here to Sioux Falls in July of 2000 with my wife and 4 children. I have 3 boys and 1 daughter. And actually, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Clara Hart in particular and Sioux Falls School District, the staff, the Sioux Falls schools, and the refugee program for the help and the hand that they extended to us when we arrived here first time. I mean, for my family in many ways, especially having my kids have their places in the schools. And Clara played a great role on that, and took a big burden from me. I was very worried about many things at the beginning. But with her help and the other staff, we overcome that, and I had my kids settled in their schools, and they started. And actually, the first thing that I was thinking about when I came here was to have a quality education for my kids. And by quality education, I mean recognition. We know that United States is well known by the good colleges, the famous universities, and I mean the school and also the degree that they will get. So that was my main objective when I came here. And actually, when I came here, I was worried and with some challenges and concerns that I can talk about here now. And also, just to give you an idea about, and to make it clear about how difficult it was when we came here, I want to give you a background of what is going on there. I mean, how do we raise our kids back home? In our culture back home, we believe in the extended family. I mean, so we have all our grandfathers, grandmothers, our aunts, our uncles, and the same family. And that way, everybody has the right to be involved in raising the kids of the family, especially the grandparents. And the grandparents are their guidance, their, what they say, I mean, the guidance and has an impact on the children. And it is highly respected and accepted. I mean, in this case, I would like to say that the grandma, for example, the grandma is playing the role of the children TV shows of today. She tells stories to the kids. She make them sing, I mean, give them songs and tell them. Within this, she gives, many things, I mean, that may help them for their life in the future. And that is actually a great impact on their life when they go to to have their own life outside the house. And also, the other factor that make it difficult for us here when we came, back home, most of our mothers are housewives. I mean, they don't have jobs, they don't go to work or anything. I mean, so most of the time, they are with their children, they devote most of their time with their kids. So that has a great impact on the children, as we know. I mean, so we know that there is an instinctive link between the mother and the children. So when the mother is completely in touch with the kids, that will help them. I mean, emotionally, I mean, make them, they have to have self-confidence on themselves and all that. So when we came here, we we lose, those, values and those qualities for our kids. The other thing also, the schools. I mean, the schools and the school curriculums back home also plays a great role, I mean, to guide and to give the students or the kids the knowledge and the talents that, that help them. Of course, here is far better than there, but still, I mean, the community, the environment, the language is, makes it difficult also here. So based on that, actually, there are some challenges and concerns that, I thought of when I came here, and it was a very tough time for me, I mean, because I was thinking about many things when I came here. So having all that in mind, I had concern from the first moment when I came here, as I said, that may encounter while my kids are in school. So one of them is after school hours. So when I have them settled in their school, so I was thinking about how they can spend, I mean, the after school. And activities that they practice in their own time. And also the homework and what is the best way to control and make sure it is done on time. That was also a concern for me. And the other thing also, friends whom they hang out with. Because, we know here, we don't know anybody, we don't know people, and, that was really a concern to me. And also the community activities which they participate in, if there are some such activities. And also the other thing that actually worried me much is the sleepover. The sleepover is actually, I don't know why. I mean, some parents, they admit it and they encourage their kids to sleep over. I mean, there's no need for that, and I don't know. You can tell me, I mean, if there is anything, useful for the kids, I mean, to get from sleeping over. So, I didn't accept it, and from the first moment I told my kids, no, we don't have that, and there's no reason. And also, actually, I remember once I stood in front of them, actually it happened one or twice. And I asked them, tell me what are you going to gain or to have from this? So from that day, I mean, we just stopped it, and nobody asked about that. Okay, and also, I mean, the other thing that drew my attention here, the children have the feeling that they are protected by, the authorities, by the law enforcement. So that feeling makes them, stubborn and disobedient. Sometimes, they feel that, they are free to do anything, and if dad or mom asks, I will call the police. So also I talked to them about that. I mean, you are not protected or respected at any case. I mean, you need to behave right so as to be protected. If you don't behave right, you will not. You will be considered as a criminal. I just told them like that. So that also helped. I mean, actually, I thank God I don't have any problem with, having arguments about that or anything. So they started, and they, whatever I say, they do. But, I give them, the opportunity to give them the freedom, I mean, to discuss, to say their opinions and all that. But always I tell them the right. I mean, and I told them that, don't just rely on the protection of the law enforcement. So that will not help you. Okay. Okay, the other thing that also helped me, I was very careful and punctual by attending the parents, teachers conferences, and I don't remember I've missed one. And for all my kids, I used to come on time and meet the teachers, all the teachers, talk to them about their progress of my kids, I mean, the status of their, what they do, I mean, their relationship with their teachers, the relationship with their classmates. and how they do. And sometimes, in Washington High School, I used to go and ask Officer Hein, about their behavior. I mean, just to make sure that, they are not doing something that needs to be, yeah. So just for me, I mean, to make sure that everything is going well. Okay, and also from my side, and to help, and not only for my kids, also for other communities' kids. Actually, I had the opportunity to be a member of some or participate in some of the school activities. I was a member of Whittier Middle School side council, or side board, side council under the leadership of Dr. Misick, I remember, and Dr. and Mike Moore. Also, I was a member in Washington High School Diversity Committee that was led by Mr. Bill Huff. And actually, we had many things. I mean, we participated in many activities, and not only for my kids, but it is for the general activities in the school. That was a good experience for me. I mean, to know exactly what is going on, and also to live in the school environment. And I think that's all what I have. But I have some things that I want to talk to you about here that may not be. It may be helpful for the teachers, for the parents here, about the understanding of the freedom. I mean, for some people, especially for the people who are coming from other countries like us. Some people, they think that freedom here, when you come to the United States, you have the freedom. It's not like back home. So the freedom that they understand, do whatever you want. So they don't. They don't have any limits of their behavior. Or they just follow, the freedom. So unfortunately, that feeling or that understanding ended up with catastrophic, actually, I can say, results. Like family divisions, dropout for students, divorce, and children negligence, and that is end off of, in many cases, with dropouts, as I said, from the schools, in addition to other community issues like drugs and these things that you know about. So, so this is actually, one of the things that people need to concentrate on. The understanding. Especially for the sponsors, like Lutheran Social Services, when they receive the refugees here, they need to, with their orientation, they need to tell them about these things. The meaning of the freedom and all that. The other thing also that I would like to talk about here is dating. Actually, I don't accept it, I don't support it, whatever the case may be. And I'm sure, it has been a while that, there is a discussion, even countrywide, that about the teen pregnancy. And it has taken, a long time and been discussed by many people. And I think, 100% of the parents, I think, they will not accept teen pregnancy. And I think, to me, maybe I'm wrong, dating is one of the main reasons that this teen pregnancy come as a result of. So I don't think it is a good. Sometimes they say that, oh yeah, she's 18 or 19, or she can do whatever she wants. That's not a good excuse to me. I think still 18 or 19, even biologically, the thinking, the type of thinking, the brain, the way they think is not in a good way to decide or to think wisely. So what I would like to say, that for the parents need to pay attention to this and give guidance and advice to the two, sides, to the boys and the girls, And I tell them that, it is better to follow the ways that, give them the future settlement in a survival type of life, like, a marriage. I mean, a marriage in a better way. I mean, to have them get married in a better way, so as for them to make sure that their future is guaranteed and they don't have problems in any future. And also, I think beside the pregnancy, there are other problems that go with the same this dating. Okay, so. Okay, so I think that's all what I have, and thank you all for listening. So, and if you have any question, I will be happy to answer. And also, I have raised some issues here that may need further discussion. I don't know. I mean, from the schools, from the teachers, parents, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I, if you allow me to add something? Of course, in Iraq, we share almost the same culture, just like the big families, and, everybody live in the house, maybe 16, 17, sometimes 20, over 20 people lives at the same house. What I wanted to bring, just like especially for, refugee and newcomer, I'm one of the refugees. Many of the refugees cannot. There's two issues actually with the parents and their kids. Usually the children or the kids take control of the parent. Because the parent cannot speak English, and the child can speak English. So usually they hide some of the information from the parents, and sometimes the child will interpret for his mom or his dad. And I would say at 75% of those cases, the child will give false statements to the parent. The other issue is just like the parents cannot differentiate between discipline and punishment. So they used to beat their kids, or just like slam them, but there are other ways to discipline them. And discipline, I don't think that any law enforcement, will come to your door and tell you why did you discipline your son, unless you left just like dark bruises on his face or his eyes. So those two things, just like it needs just like to be more focused on the kids and the parents in both sides, to know, just like the school should just like tell the child or the boy or the girl that you are not fully, freed from your commitments. Your commitments is to respect. Your commitment is to learn. And our commitment is just like take your hand and get you into your future. So those, in my opinion, they are very important steps, just like to build a good relation between the school and the student. At the same time, to build the same thing with the parent. So the parents should know that they can discipline their kids in a different way. They can ground them. They can, just like take something from them. They can just like turn off the internet. They can take the laptop. They can take, all these are just like not, it's not, how am I supposed to put it there? It's not rights. It's kind of privileges given to him, just like to kind of incentives to him to build, and to build his career and build his, study. The other issue brought by Saeed is LSS. I worked, for 3 years with LSS, and I participate in many orientations, and on those of just like these orientations classes, there is a police officer comes to the orientation and talk to the parents. And I got I've been in a few of them. one as a refugee and the other as an interpreter. Some of them, I was just like the presenter there. And I've heard the officer, the same officer, talking to the parents, and he said, just like, I want you to keep your values, your culture. Don't give it away. So if, for example, if your culture does not encourage you to drink or to take drugs, then stick to your culture. Don't adopt wrong things and in the name of freedom. So basically, LSS is doing kind of a great job in that. And but now, would the parents will listen and believe the officer, or are they going to believe their kids? And I believe that if there's kind of, they get the right to choose, they will choose their kids rather than the officer. And that's the point where the direction will just like go in the wrong way, when the child take control of the parent. I'm sorry, I just wanted to add this one. So.
Yeah, also there is another thing that I want to add. Going back to our schools back home, actually we consider as parents, we consider the teacher has the same responsibility as the parent. So even the teacher has the right to punish, to discipline. Nobody will say no. I mean, even if, and the teacher should do that without referring to me or asking my permission as that. I mean, it's known that, when the teacher wants to discipline or to punish, he can do that. I mean, so nobody will ask him. Nobody. And actually, I remember one of the conferences here was in Washington High School. I was talking to one of the teachers, and she was complaining that some of the students are not paying attention. They are going around while the class. So I told her, why you don't just punish them, or just tell them, make them punish. Is not necessary to be a physical punishment. It could be give them more homework or whatever, keep them. She told me no. I mean, some parents, they will sue us. So I was surprised actually, and she told me yes, there are cases in the courts, and actually so far I'm not sure if that's right or not, but I don't think it should be known that the teacher is a parent. He's a parent of my child when my child is in school. So it is the same responsibility as I have it at home. I mean, the teacher has it at the school. So this is what we practice there back home. I mean, nobody will ask the teacher why you did this, why you punished the student, or anything like that. So just to add this. Thank you so much.
Yes, I've been listening to the two other participants, and I don't know how to say this, but like in defense of the teachers and the kids and the relationship, I don't want to brag that I am been doing a great job with my kid, but I just had that problem with my kid. We have a great communication, and that's what he referred to for always. And I don't need to, I know the password to get into the computer and check it out because the school send us the letter via email and everything, and I'm informed of that. But the communication that I have with her, I don't have to ask. She tells me, Mom, I got a B today. I need to work on it because she's always been a straight A kid. And with homework and all of the other stuff, she knows that she's responsible with that. And in the other hand, the only thing that I did not appreciate, one thing that they both mentioned about the discipline and the punishment and the difference between that, is that she has a lot of discipline in my house. In our house, discipline is very important, and she knows that since she was a little baby. I don't hit her, I don't abuse my kid or anything like that, but she knows that a wrong decision is going to get you to a bad consequence too, and you are going to lose your privilege. And she's afraid of that, not afraid that I'm going to hit her. And she's been a talker. She loves to talk, and that's the only issue that she has always had. And when she used to bring me those little papers home, I told her, the next one, you're going to be in bad shape here. And soon enough, when she got the next one, she started crying in school. And I have the police waiting for me when I get to pick her up. I really did not appreciate that. Because as she was crying so much, they thought that I was abusing the kid, and that's why she was afraid for me to know. And I really feel very discouraged that day, and I really didn't do it in the school with the principal and the police. When I got into the car, I couldn't even drive. I just cry and cry and cry, and I said, you know what, I don't think I'm doing that bad. Why the police have to be waiting for me? I don't do nothing wrong that I have to be ashamed of. Just because I have discipline in my house, then now is this a right thing or a wrong thing? Why now is my kid gonna think that just by talking I have the police protecting me? If tomorrow I do something bigger, then they're gonna be protecting me too, and my mom won't be able to do anything. And I feel bad because I told her, because she came with the mouth one day and told me, if you ever hit me, I will call the police for you. And she did, and I said, don't worry about it. If I ever do, I call the police for you. But I'll make sure that I break all your bones, because they're not gonna take me just because I slap you in your face. I told her that. And you would never ever see me again, because you will be placed in a foster home, because I'm gonna be considered as a bad mother. So if that's what we're going to get into, then so be it. We'll see what happens. And then she said, no, Mom, she was crying. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that, but they told us in school that if your parent hit you, you have to call the police. Then, I don't know how that issue should probably be addressed maybe in another way, especially with smaller kids, because they really don't know the difference between, the things. And in the other hand, I agree that the teachers have a lot of responsibility, but I agree that they deserve a lot of respect. And that's what I work with my kid. I tell her, I don't care what you're coming to tell me about your teachers. They know what they're doing. You're doing good in school, so they're doing a good job. And all that I have to know is that you're being a good girl in school and you're respecting your teachers, because they do respect you and they deserve the same from you. So I think that the worst should start in your house and then be support, no, the other way around. So that's my opinion.
Thank you, Betty. Thank you. And now we have an additional guest. We don't have him on the program, so he has 5 minutes to introduce himself and actually give his perspective. Mr. Jeremiah Nemale is from Liberia, and he was one of those first refugees from Liberia or Cote d'Ivoire resettled in Sioux Falls. And I welcome you to our session, Raising a Child in America. And as I said, you have 5 minutes, and so we are done at 7:30, and I hope we'll have some time to have our participants ask questions.
Okay.
We have great.
Well, thank you very much for organizing such a beautiful program. I'm Jeremiah Nimley, and I work for the school district since 2004. I was then employed by the school district and then assigned at James Adams. And then I worked at James Adams for a year, and later I was 2 years, and then I was sent at Washington High at full time. But presently I am a substitute. Working with students here has 2 or 3 different, categories of working with them. We have the interim where you work with students coming into the school. I'm a father or a parent of 13, came here with 13 family members. And one of the challenges that I found here, even though I don't have much more time, but one of the challenges that I found here in America, different from Africa, is the age range. That's what that most parents suffer with here, is the age range, because back in Africa, you keep your child in the home up to age 25, they stay a child. But here, at the age of 18, the child becomes, by the time they are 15, 16, I hope I can become 18 to move out. And so that's one of the biggest problems that we encounter here is the age range. In school, my kids being in school, I have not so much monitored them. I monitor them at home, but I monitor so many other kids within the school. And coming into this school system is one of the biggest problems is the food for our kids coming from Africa or elsewhere to get adjusted to the American system. And controlling them is one of the problems. I work also with Lutheran Social Services with Mayor Hamilton, and moving from home to homes, talking to parents. Some of the kids here and living with the parents now have not lived with the parents back home. So there is a differences there. Sometimes they fight on the bus, sometimes they fight in the classroom, sometimes they pull the chair for other kids, and those are different problems that we have been having in the school district. And so it would be something that we will be able to continue to work after in adjusting the kids into the school, and then working with parents as well, because that's one of the biggest issues here. Some of the parents have been different, living differently, and then they come in America and they all come into one home with the kids. It becomes a problem. Like some of them explain, some of our colleagues here explain that the language barrier is the problem. Even though we were from Liberia, we speak English there, but it's quite different from the English that's here. So we have to go all over and learn. Some of the people live in the rural area, and so the kids become more advanced in English and then begin to give the parents a difficult time. And so we'll have more to do. I'm sorry that I came out late and I don't have much more time, but we want to say thanks again for organizing such a beautiful program. And maybe you have more questions on something that I did not touch, then of course you can ask me. Probably I will be able to address it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeremiah. I appreciate all for your coming and your attention and your willingness to learn. As you heard, what I talked about last week is pretty much what our guests talked about. It's dress code, values, respect. A lot of us do misunderstanding between discipline and punishment. Mm-hmm. We need to define what that means, and we need to help our parents who are new to Sioux Falls understand the differences between those two. And with that, I want to thank our guests. Thank you, participants, and I hope to see you in April or in the spring classes. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us here.